Alright, here's our last mock-up for the night. So this is all Evo stuff now. So we're using a full Evo motor on this one right now. So you can see how it lines up on there halfway decently. Now I got the cylinder up in the air a little bit. I thought I had to push it in further. Gotta push it in like that. Okay. So this moves it back into a more stock height. Now we have the dowel rod here, so I can't go any deeper than that. But this is our short combination. So I got the case in there. I got the lifter block in there. So now you can see how horrible it's going to be with this. Now I went ahead and put a 3/8 inch spacer between the cases to bring the case up higher. That way we're going to put the bolts in here. And back in here you can see how these would be over here. So this one here would have enough material. But this one here you can see how it would be nothing right in here. It'd be really thin. So this one you drop down to a 5/16 bolt instead of a 3/8, and you can poke it right in there, because this is where they cut it down for the lifter block clearance. So it gets even thinner down through here, so even really thin. And if you put these bolts over here on the inside where they belong, with the V angle, the two bolts will probably hit each other. So we're going to wind up having to slot this hole over to get it to line up over here more in this area, I think. But probably not quite as far as where that was, but I don't know. We gotta repunch holes anyway, so we'll see. Alright, so let's see how bad this really is. So the exhaust would be way up here. And the intake would be way down here. So that's what the big twin case would be. See the angle changes. So obviously this one here, it's not too awful bad. But this one here, it's pretty bad. It's way up here. That's what a single cam does for you. Doesn't help you a lot. Now if we use a twin cam case, then it would be a little bit lower. If we did an M8 case, we're back to a single cam application, but I'm not sure where the lifters are on an M8 motor. So either way you'd have to do, this is going to require a massively custom cam. Now when I get a set of M8 cases from somebody, then I can go ahead and I can probably punch those cases out big enough to run these bores on top of an M8 case. And that might make more sense on a lot of alignment issues. But I don't think we're going to have... I know they're thicker over here than the Harley, the Evo, but I don't know how much more material we got to work with. If we have to put the spacer in here or not. So no, I don't have an M8. So haven't really worked on one. We had a couple in here to look at, and that's about the extent of it. But either way, you definitely have to space this up higher. And 3/8 of an inch like that would be about the limit you could push it and still work with the parts that comes in the parts. So if we move the crank over a little bit, 1/8 of an inch further up this way, that would help bring the pinion shaft up, and you can make it probably work. So if you use the early cam cover, they got a 1/4 inch longer snout on the late shaft, so 1/4 inch this way, 1/8 inch on the other side. That's your 3/8, so you can make it work. So you can use an Ultima crank in there and all of that. Not really that much custom stuff to deal with, you just got to deal with the push rod angles, but it's the same push rod angle you have no matter what. So this is still the least amount of work, but it's not the best thing for alignments and all the other stuff. It looks like the intake alignment is probably about the same as the Sportster cases were, so it's the least amount of effort. Like I said, you could bolt this together relatively easily. you have to do a lot of, you have to weld up that whole area or make a spacer to go in there. You can probably just put a spacer in there. Piece of 3/8 plate, cut it, you know, get it all in there, glue it in, bolt it in. No welding really required there. The cylinder studs, you have to do a little playing with to make it work. Like I said, you can slot these out and make them work, but it would weaken the cylinder a lot. Me, I'd punch this hole over here. This one over here, I'd probably do some slotting or re-drilling or something, I don't know. You can see how the hole's too far out to really use, so I'm not sure. The hole should be over here, so to really fit. How come that shows more angle than it used to be? We're in alignment. Yeah, this one the rotation's correct, so the hole's right here. So you can put a hole right there and run it with just only 2 bolts on this side, but you have to do that. Well, you still have to do some welding because these cylinders don't line up. You know, you're still going to be welding no matter what. But, like I said, you can move that bolt to here, drop that down to a 3/8 or 5/16, get away with it, punch the hole. You can probably make it work. I don't know. But you definitely got to spend a lot of time with the cam's going to cost you some money. But everything else, it's a lot easier to make it. You know, the motor mount in the case, you can actually take this and cut the hole over 3/8 of an inch and run the stock motor mount bolt in there. Just offset, all this will be offset to the right, which should be fine. And so you can do this motor a lot easier than a Sportster motor would be. A lot easier. So just a matter what it costs for a cam. Cam's gonna be pricey. But oh well, there you go. It's enough mocking up for one night. I'm not a big fan of the push rods on any of these, so we'll see.